What is going on, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. My name is Richie, and we're joined with Tyler, Wardy NYM, to break down the New York Knicks dub last night against these Philadelphia 76ers. And we got a big game tomorrow night against the Boston Celtics. We are out of the All-Star break, and Knicks basketball is back, baby. Last night's game was a joy to watch. It was an overall team victory in Philadelphia. MVP chance. Tyler and I actually almost went to the game, and we're both very regretful for not being there in Philadelphia representing our Knicks. Tyler, how you doing today, my friend?
I am doing great, my man. Happy to be back talking about Knicks basketball. The break is over. Guys are healing up. I just saw a highlight video of Julius Randle looking really nice on the court right now. So some positives, hopefully, on that front. And man, oh man, another dub against the 76ers feels really good. The Nova boys basically back home cooking. Oh, love it. I absolutely love it, dude. They're like, I don't want to hear one schmuck of a 76er fan say, oh, it's because without Embiid. I'm sorry. What did Joel do last time we matched up, huh? Lose by 30 something. I don't want to hear it. And we don't have Randall. We don't have OG.
We don't have three starters.
We
don't have three starters. Okay, listen. Yeah, I know Joel Embiid's an MVP. But listen, we're without Julius Randle, All-Star, OG Anunoby, our starting wing, and Mitchell Robinson, our starting center. So if any Sixers fan wants to continuously make those excuses, Knicks fans are not making those same excuses. So that's what I'm going to say about that. Shout out to Darren in the chat. What's up, Richie? Keep up the great work. Thank you, Darren. I genuinely appreciate that big time. Breezy's in the chat. Knicks fam. Salute to Knicks fans in the chat. Guys, hit that like button on your way into the show. We're really excited to break down what we saw from these New York Knicks last night in Philadelphia. There's so many different players I want to talk about because it was not a one-dimensional victory. It wasn't like Jalen Brunson came out of the gate and absolutely dominated this game with a 30-piece. That was not the case. Brunson actually had an off night in his standards. Okay, he struggled from the field. He had 7 turnovers, and the Knicks came out with the W. If you guys watched my video I posted on my channel a few days ago about the keys to the second half of these New York Knicks,
make sure you watch that video. Richie put a lot of work into it, okay? I'm seeing those views. Get them up, all right? Just because of gameplay doesn't mean you can't watch the video. Watch the video.
Watch the video. Come on, I put a lot of time into the editing on that one. But listen, the last key in that video, Tyler, was Jalen Brunson sustaining his MVP type of season. But I also said that the Knicks are so good because we're not depending on Jalen Brunson to be the reason why we win every game, because we're so good around Jalen Brunson where if he does have an off night, they can still win games because of the supporting cast. And last night was the perfect example of that. Bojan Bogdanovic led the Knicks in scoring last night off the bench with 21. Precious Achiuwa absolutely dominating the game. Dante DiVincenzo hitting clutch threes in the fourth quarter. Josh Hart finding his offensive rhythm. What was your biggest takeaways from last night's game in terms of the supporting cast around Jalen Brunson?
I mean, it's a continuation of what we've seen, right? Josh Hart with another very strong game for the New York Knicks. I mean, 18 points, 12 rebounds. There's something about Hart being like far and away, or at least one of the best rebounding guards in the league since the Knicks acquired him, especially, that I just love. I'm infatuated with it. I can't get over it. And then Dante DiVincenzo. I don't know how many, every single game is a Dante highlight game. Has that grasped for you yet? Like, he, again, another really strong outing, 16 points. Again, he didn't have his 30-piece night. And, we've been spoiled so much lately. He was balling out early, obviously got a little quiet, but still, Bojan Bogdanovic is the one that I really want to get into out of the supporting cast, because look at those numbers: 22 points in 24 minutes, 6 from 6 from downtown. That is the star for me out of everyone. This was the first big game with Bogdanovic, so that stands out to me. Precious is precious. He should be a Knick for the next decade. He should be extended. I mean, roughly 20 points, over 10 rebounds, comfortably a really productive player in this Knicks lineup. It is really baffling when you look at the start of that trade and how we've been without OG Anunoby a month somehow. The last game he played was the one I was in attendance at. So, wait, was that right? Was the last game he played against Miami the same as Randall?
OG?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know Randall got hurt in that Lakers game.
No, Randall got hurt.
The Heat game.
You're right. He got hurt in the Heat game. And I know that OG, I don't think he's been playing really since. They've been out around the same time. But to see these guys rally the way that they've been while OG's been out, especially Precious. Like, I cannot give enough kudos to these guys. And they're just making this such a fun team to watch every single night. Like, how comforting is it, Richie, that two of the Knicks' three best players are off the roster, haven't played in pretty much a month, and are still going to be out for a little bit. And yet neither of us are, kicking and screaming and overly stressed or anything. We actually have reasons to be optimistic about Saturday's game. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
it's such a good feeling to be a Knicks fan right now, all things considered. Seriously.
Absolutely, man. We have to remind ourselves that we're literally missing 3 of our starters, okay? Yes, we've had Mitchell Robinson down for quite some time, but I'm definitely going to continue to remind people that he's on this team and he's coming back, okay? And what we saw last night was a perfect example of what Leon Rose did such a good job at, right? What was the biggest weakness of the Knicks when we made that OG Anunoby trade? It was scoring off the bench. Emmanuel quickly gets traded to Toronto. He was the big piece off the bench. We needed somebody to be able to come off the bench and really help this Knicks team out from a scoring standpoint. Well, welcome to the Knicks, Bojan Bogdanovic. 6 for 6 from downtown. The man was a sniper. That is exactly what we wanted from him. It's what we wanted Quentin Grimes to be. Alec Burks even hit some clutch shots when he first came in that game late in the first quarter and early in that second quarter. I think honestly, Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic are the X factors for this entire season, because if those two players get really consistent off the bench, add in Jalen Brunson being what he's doing, Josh Hart getting some offensive rhythm, and the dominance that we're seeing from Precious and Hartenstein, this Knicks team is going to be dangerous. Now, I'm sorry I did not mention this specific player, because if you did not watch the game and you just looked at the box score, you would not think that Deuce McBride had a good game, because he didn't from a stat standpoint. But Deuce McBride absolutely changed the entire dynamic of last night's game. The New York Knicks had a 26-point lead, and the 76ers went on a big run in that third quarter. Tom Thibodeau, I got to tip my cap to Tibbs. Do you know what he did, Tyler? He did what every Knicks fan's been asking for him to do forever. He had Deuce McBride in that game late in the fourth quarter over Alec Burks. What? That's not Tom Thibodeau. Shout out to Tibbs, and shout out to Deuce McBride in particular, because he's the one that took advantage of those fourth quarter minutes. He was the Energizer Bunny. He was getting those stops. He was getting into the passing lanes, being a pest on defense. Even though Deuce does not flood the stat sheet offensively, he was a big reason why the Knicks were able to stand tall in that fourth quarter and avoid a complete disaster in the fourth quarter, surrendering that lead. So got to give a shout out to Deuce McBride, and you got to give a shout out to Tibbs for keeping him out there over a guy like Alec Burks, so we all know Tibbs is obsessed with.
Yeah, I mean, that's a brilliant point on your end, right? We've been saying it the past couple episodes we've done together, how my big concern has been running Alec Burks into the ground like OG, but in the sense of just too much playing time when he shouldn't be getting the playing time because of how much there is a lovely connection between Burks and Thibodeau. So to see Deuce come out down the stretch like that was absolutely huge. I hope we see more of that. And I really, again, Tibbs, I think Tibbs has learned this, especially more from going back to last year's playoffs. I always find myself thinking about it because his ability to finally start to adjust more and riding the hot hand is important, but also making sure that you're not riding it too much where, it's going to ultimately hurt the Knicks. I really like what he was able to do last night. And yes, the stat sheet wasn't blown up when he stretched by McBride, but he's putting the clamps down. He's putting it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like Quentin Grimes, especially not having him on this roster now, you need as much defense as humanly possible, right? So to have McBride come out and do what he does best, even if he wasn't draining the three, that's fine. We know we're going to get it from him another night. And at the end of the day, the Knicks won fairly comfortably last night. Yes, they had the 76ers had their little run, but they were also down by 26. So I'm not overly shocked in today's NBA that, oh God, a team has a roughly 30-point lead and it gets cut at least in half, if not more. Like that's been such a commonality in today's NBA. It's just making sure you close out. Just do not give it up. This is a Knicks team that we've seen in years past where they have given up completely, where they will have a sizable lead and then they will falter either at a horrendous third or horrendous fourth. Not the case with these Knickerbockers, and Tom Thibodeau has this team in the right direction.
Absolutely. I think that the Knicks are really proving to the league that they are here. Now, I feel like a lot of Knicks fans head into the All-Star break with some not a great energy because we lost 4 in a row and the injuries were really starting to, stockpile. But that's because without Hartenstein and without DiVincenzo and Bojan, on top of all the other injuries, it's a really, really unfortunate thing there. But the Knicks are absolutely deep enough to sustain the injuries that we got. I think that we got the talent to stay afloat up until we get our main guys back in OG and Randall and hopefully Mitchell Robinson. Corey says, Richie, the Sixers are not going to be a 5 seed team because without Embiid, let's sweep them. Love you, bro. Love you more, Corey. How about that? And listen, the Knicks are 2-0 against the 76ers this year. First time was with Embiid. Second time was without. And the Sixers are still a good team without Embiid. Tyrese Maxey is an all-star, okay? He's an absolute beast. He had a great game, but the Knicks were able to shut down everybody around him and defensively kind of disrupting that squad. So really impressive stuff for these New York Knicks. The vibes are immaculate here, Rich. Yes, they are, ZA. Yes, they are. Can we do call-ins with Tyler? We got someone trying to call in. I do want to open this up to some callers eventually. Maybe we'll do a call-in show today, my man. Maybe we will. How about that? We'll get some Knicks fans in here, talk some Knicks basketball. Hey, Rich, you help Julius.
His little logo he had, too, not to cut you off. What? NY Flight Jets Talk. Another dope Jets logo. So many sick Jets logos. You guys sick Jets logo. Jets Talk 24/7. I like his. There's a lot of them.
Knicks,
I like it.
There's nothing like the Jets community. I'll argue and say that the Jets have one of the best YouTube communities in the world. But hey,
for a team that has the lack of success that you guys do, it is remarkable how many of you there are. It really is.
It's crazy. It's like we've been like the Chiefs or something, or like the Patriots as of late. Like you seem like that, but no, we're all suffering fans just trying to connect to each other and have each other's therapy. And I know Mets fans can agree and relate to that in their own way. You, Tyler, as well. AP says, I've been watching the Knicks for 34 years. For the first time since I have a good feeling a championship coming with this particular group. Maybe not this year, but with this group. It's this season. How about that? No, I'm just kidding. Now, there are some concerns about Julius Randle because he spoke to the media and he said that surgery is not being ruled out. That's definitely scary. What that tells me, Tyler, is that if he does come back, he's not going to be 100%, and he's going to play through it and try to get that surgery in the offseason. What's your thoughts of that? You know, we did see a video of him putting up some jump shots, and he looked okay, but, like, listen, it's hard to really see that, and I don't know when to expect Julius Randle to return, but if he does return, unfortunately, he might not be 100%.
Yeah, I think that's the reality the Knicks unfortunately find themselves in right now, but the good thing is that given the current status on their production and their continued wins, I really think that this is a Knicks team that can go a good chunk of time without Julius still and make sure that they're comfortably in a playoff spot, you know, in that 1 through 5 of certainly would stay ideal. That is kind of how I feel about the Randle situation right now. I want him as healthy as possible for playoffs, but you also want to make sure that he's back with ample time to get the rust off too, because he's not going to be 100%. So it's that much more important to make sure that he's at least game ready and locked in, because if say you're not going to get your typical Julius Randle outing, but he can be productive, you just want to make sure that you're not throwing him out there to fishes like when playoffs started, nothing prior. Because I think there's too much concerns, not only with the team makeup and kind of getting everything back in a rhythm, but for him personally too. And the biggest problem that I have with this, Richie, and I'm sure fellow Knicks fans can agree this, it's another year where we might not be able to properly weigh our viewpoint on Julius Randle in postseason. You know, last year he was injured. Like, it's a frustrating thing, because it's like, on one hand, it's like, all right, this is your star player. If he doesn't step up, he doesn't step up. But it's like, or if he's dealing with a significant ailment, then it's kind of tricky too. And I understand that a lot of NBA players deal with injuries when you get into postseason play. That's the case with most sports. Everyone's grinding because they want to be there. They're excited and they want to win a championship. Having said that, though, you got to make sure that you don't make things worse for him, whether he needs I don't know how this works with his shoulder whatsoever. I'm no doctor. I don't know if you say a cortisone shot and he's numbed out and he's good to go, and that'll keep him fresh for, you know, however long the Knicks need him, and then he'll have an operation in the offseason. Yeah, it seems like an operation definitely is possible, but even if that were the case, it feels like maybe he would still be able to. I don't know. At this point in time, if he had surgery, do you think that's like a sure thing that he's out for the remainder of the season?
Yeah,
and
if he's trying to avoid the surgery for the whole reason of, because if he does, he's done for the year.
Right,
so
that's true, because he probably would have done it right from the beginning. If that
exactly. So they're trying to figure out a way to do enough therapy, do enough rehab to get his shoulder feeling good enough to play through the injury, so he can get the entire shoulder repaired in the offseason for next year. And it's so unfortunate this is even a conversation, because, man, Julius was playing his best ball. He was playing efficient, which is the difference from Julius that I saw this year. He he gave the keys to Jalen Brunson. He ran with it because let's not forget this was Randall's team before Brunson came here,
Right.
and then Brunson came here. He is the face of the New York Knicks. Randall took a back seat, and let's not pretend he just took a back seat. This guy was an all-star, okay? An all-star. I feel like we're forgetting that because he was not healthy to play in the all-star game, but Julius Randle, 3-time all-star for the New York Knicks, and if he can come back and just play 50% of what he brings and just be like a hustler and just play hard and be able to get rebounds and just be a leader for this Knicks team, hopefully Jalen Brunson and Dante and Boyan and the supporting cast and OG will be able to really leap this Knicks team up, and we're not going to be so dependent on Randall because if he does return to all-star form, the Knicks are going to be scary, brother. The Knicks are going to be scary, but the good news is we're not going to be relying on that. Kevin says, I'm done with Burks. Play Deuce and Sims. Got to give a shout out to Jericho Sims real quick. Jericho absolutely had a great game last night. The one thing that Tom Thibodeau loves about Jericho Sims, he always says it. Every time you hear Thibodeau talk about Jericho Sims, he says the same thing. I love his feet. Oh, his feet is great. His feet. What about it? Obviously, we know what we're talking about, but it's his lateral quickness on the defensive end. And Jericho Sims can literally guard 1 through 5. He's a lockdown defender, and his ability to stay lateral with guards at the wing is really intriguing to me. Shout out to Jericho Sims. Shout out to Precious Achua. Shout out to Isaiah Hartenstein, who did not play a lot last night because I think he's still on a minute restriction with his injury, but really, really fun stuff there. The Knicks are deep, folks, and that's my favorite part about this Knicks squad. Guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you're just tuning into the show here on Knicks Media. We got Tyler from Wardy NYM. Mets season is upon us, baby. Spring training is here, and Wardy is the #1 Mets YouTuber on the planet. He also covers the Yankees as well. So if you are a baseball fan, guys, definitely go check out Wardy's YouTube channel. That's linked down below in the description. He's actually taken a trip down to Florida to really cover what's going on with these New York Mets. So cannot wait to see what you do there. What's with the shoulder injuries with Kodai Senga and Julius Randle? We're not going there, Tyler. We're not going to go. Okay, but
don't get me started.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Sims always plays hard too. You love that. Absolutely. Jericho Sims is another example of the development of the coaching staff is absolutely sensational. Now, I have a really interesting topic I do want to get into, Tyler, with you. I want to get your thoughts of this. Now, as you guys know, we do have a proud sponsor of Knicks Media, and that just so happens to be BetUS Sportsbook. If you guys want to click the link down below in the description, or you can click the link that's pinned right now at the top of the chat, you'll receive a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits when you use promo code JOIN125. That's all the way up to $2,500. So definitely take advantage of the promotion that BetUS got cooking right now. Here are the odds on BetUS for the New York Knicks, or any team that, for that matter, in the Eastern Conference to win the East and make it to the NBA Finals. So they have the New York Knicks, if you do the math here, 1, 2, third best odds to make it. The Cavs have less odds, and they're the 2nd seed. That's pretty wild. So the Knicks are at plus 700 to make the Finals. That is definitely something I'm going to look into. Now, guys, if you do want to sign up again, that link is pinned at the top of the chat. 24/7 hour customer service, fast 24-hour payouts, and 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits when you use code JOIN125 up to $2,500. Tyler, what's your thoughts of the odds of the Knicks at plus 700 to make the NBA Finals? Do you feel like that is realistic? And do you think they have what it takes to compete with the Boston Celtics? We'll find that out tomorrow night.
We will find that out tomorrow night. But in the meantime, yeah, how things currently stand, I'd say that's pretty much around the realm of what I'd say is understandable. The Cavs ahead of them, I know that they've been on a hero lately, and Donovan's been playing some awesome basketball. But I also know that this Knicks team, once they are locked and loaded and fully healthy, I'm feeling very confident on their matchup with the Cavaliers, all things considered. So I'd say you could probably flip-flop the two, but I understand that this is live odds based on the current statuses of the team. So I would definitely plus 700. I mean, especially if you want to have a little Knicks fan bias. Absolutely.
Sprinkle some cash on it.
Sprinkle, whatever you want to do. 100 to win 700, 10 to win 70, whatever your heart desires,
What's the NBA championship odds? So the Knicks are at, wow. I'm not going to lie, folks. I put some money on the Knicks to win the NBA title back when their odds were at plus 3,400. Now it's at plus 2,200. Now I just put $40 on it to win like a lot of money because why not? Okay, I had some money I won during the NFL playoffs, and I thought to put it on the Knicks to win it all because the odds were so ridiculous. But look at that. Now it's all the
Richie
way to
said,
plus
I won
2,200.
money. I want to lose it. So let me put
I
it
won
on
my
this.
money, so why not just put it on? Because BetUS has awesome bets, so why not do that? But the Knicks
Gotta
are
bet you
plus
have.
2,200 to win the finals this year. If you guys want to go check out BetUS, you guys know them by now. Click that link that's pinned at the top of the chat or down below in the description to receive your 125% sign up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Now, I want to transition, Tyler, go more into tomorrow's matchup against the Boston Celtics and get your guys' thoughts of it in the live chat, folks. What is your thoughts of the Knicks? How are they going to be able to stack up against the league's best in the Boston Celtics? They are on a tear. We're 10 games. I think, no, that was before last night. I'm curious the update on the standings, but how do you think the Knicks are going to be able to stack up against these Celtics? My biggest thing, Tyler, is unfortunate. We're built to compete with the Celtics, but we need OG. OG is that Jason Tatum stopper. And I don't know if we have someone on the roster right now that I feel comfortable to be able to go one-on-one with Jason Tatum. I feel like the team can definitely defend him, but I was excited to see the Boston Celtics and the Knicks matchup after we got OG because that's why we brought him in.
I agree, and it sucks that we're not going to have him or Randall for this game. We know how heated things get between the Knicks and the Celtics. It's always a marquee matchup. It's always something you have to have marked on your calendar. And with the way the Celtics are playing, and going all the way back to the first game between Boston and the Knicks, I told you Porzingis is going to be a problem, and he has been a weapon for them when healthy all year long. He has really rounded out that team, and that's an issue. And speaking on OG's ability to guard anyone, whether it's Jason, whether it's Kristaps, whether it's quite literally hit White if you wanted to. Like he will go through that entire lineup without a problem. So without him now, shout out to Asia as always, OG follower, both of ours. Appreciate her always chiming in. Yeah, I gotta say, I don't have an overwhelming sense of confidence this weekend not having OG or Randall involved because I'm concerned on the big game a little bit. I trust in Harnstein, but this is a game, too, where I would love to see Mitchell Robinson involved, and Mitch ain't going to be here, too. So it's a tough one. I think the Knicks are going to have this close either way, but they are the rightful underdogs in this game.
Yeah, and the Celtics are on a 7-game winning streak. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games.
What's
They're
your record at home?
44-12, bro. The Celtics are 26-3 at home. Wow. 18-9 on the road.
4, baby. Let's go.
So we got to take advantage. We're not in Boston. We're at MSG.
Oh, my mistake. I don't know why I thought we were in Boston.
Yeah, we're in Madison Square Garden. The Knicks are 19-8 at the Garden, and the Celtics are 18-9 on the road. So the Knicks got to take advantage of it, and just they got to be able to play their brand of basketball, which is rebounding, hustling, and outworking their opponents, getting in transition. Now there is a specific player that's been playing good ball as of late, and I want to get your thoughts of it because he's becoming slowly one of my favorites on the Knicks. Maybe it's because of the podcast, the Roommate Show, but Josh Hart, ever since he started saying my shot broke, it ain't broke no more. Josh Hart is putting up some good numbers, baby. If he could start putting up like 15 a night, bro, that really adds another dynamic to this entire Knicks team, man. He's hitting jump shots. He's hitting his three-point shots. He's attacking the paint, hitting little turnaround fadeaways. He's, of course, doing what he usually does, getting those layups in transition, pushing the ball. We know what he brings from a hustle standpoint. We know what he brings from a rebound standpoint and defense. But if he can start putting up some numbers from an offensive standpoint, the Knicks get even more dangerous. So what's been overall takeaways of Josh Hart so far in these last few games?
He's stepping up big. He's doing exactly what we've seen from Dante DiVincenzo too. Guys stepping up when the Knicks need them to. Josh Hart is the prime example of a bulldog that'll do whatever you need to do to help your team win. He's going to have some off nights. Yes, we've seen him shoot plenty bricks this year. But you know what? Aside from him having an elite Tom Brady caliber arm of a quarterback, he is also a player that has the 3-ball ability, that rebounds like crazy, that gets in the nitty-gritty of literally every single situation possible while on the court. So I can't say enough awesome things about the way he's been playing lately in particular, and I'm so glad you brought him up because literally as you were saying that, I'm like, yes, Josh Hart is the exact guy we're going to need for this game. And my only concern, I guess, is because Hart's been awesome, but I'm not even going to say that's a concern because he was playing heavy minutes, obviously, but we just came back off the All-Star break too. The legs are a little fresh for everyone, which is good to see. So,
and he played 44 minutes last night.
I know, that's what I mean. Like, damn it, Tibbs. Like, I get it, but I'm concerned because it's like I'm afraid we're just another domino or two, God forbid, from falling to where we start to have serious issues. So I don't, that's the only thing I hate about, drilling these guys into the ground, even when you need them to. I'm just like, like, come on.
I
What?
know.
Let's do 35 instead of 44. I don't know. Like, if need
Yeah,
be.
trust me.
Either way,
No.
Josh is definitely going to be a key guy to watch this weekend for sure on the rebounding. The Knicks are going to need to play tough. The Knicks are going to need to play some gritty basketball. They're going to need to make the Celtics feel uncomfortable, but they just got to continue to do their game. Play selfless. Play selfless. Do not find yourself getting into a selfish game against a Celtics team that will take full advantage if you go on, say, a 0 for 10 stretch, right? They are 100% going to pounce on you right away. So, yes, Josh Hart, key guy to watch. Just need this Knicks team to really, really ground themselves and make this an entertaining one. And Richie, I got to be honest with you. There's something that's grinding my gears, and you want to know what that is?
What's that?
It is the fact that these Knicks late night, Saturday night, primetime games
ABC.
are all when we're not fully locked and loaded. It's pissing me off. That Lakers game still pisses me off. Like, it doesn't tell the whole story. It really doesn't. And yet the casual fans, which is a lot of them out there, are going to be like, oh, the Knicks, they're all right.
Nah, well, we're winning, okay?
Yeah.
So they're going to be like, wow, the Knicks can win without these big players. That's what the narrative is going to be because I don't want any excuses, okay? The Knicks got to go out there and be competitive in this one, and I feel like they will. And, dude, that first half last night against the Sixers, I was looking at my dad. I'm like, okay, we are the best team in NBA history. And, like, it was wild to watch the ball movement, Boyan not miss. I mean, we got to realize that that's not sustainable there. But the Knicks got to really make sure they stay within themselves and really start off on a fast note, especially when you talk about these Boston Celtics. You cannot get into a hole. If the Knicks get into a hole early and they're playing from behind and they're just trying to claw their way back down 10, it's going to be a really tough battle. So the Knicks got to make sure they start off fast in that first quarter. And I feel like Jalen Brunson, speaking about him, he's done a good job so far of ever since Randall went down. Brunson, unfortunately, is now getting the most double teams, even triple teams, right? The Sixers completely are blitzing him. And I feel like Jalen last night he did not handle it well. But at the same token, I feel like Jalen Brunson has been learning on the fly what it's like to be the guy that defenses are really focusing on to shut them down, because that's what defenses are doing. How are we going to get the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands? How are we going to blitz him on screens? How are we going to make sure he does not beat us? And that's why guys like Dante DiVincenzo has been stepping up big time. That's why Boyan's got to be able to keep stepping up off the bench from an offensive standpoint, and Deuce McBride from a defensive standpoint. So there's a lot of weapons around it. But what's your thoughts about Jalen Brunson? Do you think he's good enough to really be able to carry the load of this Knicks offense when he is double teamed and triple teamed? Or do you think what last night's game is going to be more of that, where he doesn't really have his usual 30-point night because of the double triple teams, but guys around him like Boyan and Dante and Hart are going to be able to help the load out to get the Knicks W's?
I think it's going to be a mix of both, depending on who the Knicks are playing, right? Like, the significance of the games, I think, are what's going to come in play. And that's where Tibbs is going to say, okay, how selfish or selfless do we need to be here? Because to your point, yeah, we saw Brunson, if he does get double and then triple teamed, it does make the work very difficult for him for obvious reasons. And that's in direct hand with not having guys like Randall and OG on the court. But this is what makes the Knicks' depth and their ability to go from Bogdanovich to Hart to not only Deuce, but of course there and Dante and everyone else in between, to have those kind of weapons the way that they do is huge. So in response to what you're saying, I do think we're going to see more of JB not having as much, the dominant nights. Not every night. I'm saying I think we're just going to deviate a little bit from it being like a lock where JB's 30 points every single night to you might have some games where he's more in that 20-point category because he was facilitating really well. And then you saw Dante had himself, say, a 35-point night, right? Like that's I think the reality we're going to find ourselves in, which is perfectly fine, because at the end of the day, all I care about is winning and doing it the proper way. Whatever
Absolutely.
is best for the team is a big thing. I don't need Brunson to be a ball hog and to do everything he can to win MVP, right? I need him to just continue to hone in on his game, what's carried the Knicks, while also making sure that we don't overstep and take things too far.
Absolutely. And I feel like another prototypical Knicks player that's so pivotal for them to win, which is why I feel like we went on a 4-game losing streak, is the big men, right? You talk about Tom Thibodeau's system. It's all about second chance points, crashing the offensive rebounds, of course, getting the defensive rebounds to secure those stops, and then also protecting the rim. And when Isaiah Hartenstein went down, it was really hard. And Jericho Sims was down, don't forget, with an illness. We had Taj Gibson out there and Precious Achiuwa as the only two big men. Well, last night we saw Precious Achiuwa. Precious is playing like a player that I've never seen before. He's massive. Playing at the 4, by the way, at the power forward spot, the versatility he brings to be able to play the 4 and then play the 5 and getting the offensive rebounds that he's getting the block shots, getting into the passing lanes, forcing turnovers, hitting 3-point shots. I mean, he hit a 3-pointer last night. He's stretching the floor. He is an absolute monster. And I feel like that is the prototypical type of player that Tom Thibodeau needs in order to survive, in order to be successful, because as good as the perimeter scoring is with Brunson and the 3-point shooting with Boyan and Dante, then bread and butter of a Tom Thibodeau team is going to be how can those big men really get those second chance looks. You look at what the Knicks were doing with Mitchell Robinson earlier in the season. You look at what Isaiah Hartenstein was doing when he was at full strength. That's how they were winning basketball games. And Precious Achiuwa is a guy that is really becoming a household name with this Knicks organization. He's a pending free agent as well as OG, as well as Hartenstein. I don't want to get into the offseason just yet because we have a lot of stuff to get into with this season, but you cannot say enough good things about the development of Precious Achiuwa because he was just a throw-in that trade at first, and now he was thrown into a huge role with this Knicks team, Tyler, because of all the injuries, and he's taken it and he's ran with it, baby. The depth of this Knicks team is something fun to watch.
It is very fun to watch. It has been the most entertaining aspect of this season, along with the dominance of JB and, of course, Randall doing his thing. I can't emphasize how encouraging it's been to watch a Knicks team that has a quality depth, unlike what we've seen in our young fandoms. So I guess a question for you, Richie, before we get on to whatever is next in the show is, in comparison to all the Knicks teams that you've watched in your young fandom, where do you personally have this ranked currently, especially with all the turmoil? Like, this has been a great season for the Knicks, but it also included, some homegrown talents having to be parted with at the same time. So let me know what your thoughts are on all that.
So, like, where does this season rank amongst other seasons in my Knicks fandom? Is that the question?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to see how it ends, but during that 9-game winning streak, I was like, this is the best Knicks basketball I've ever seen in my entire life. And the reason I felt that way is because there was a sustainability there where it feels like this isn't a little fizzle. Where the 2012, 2013 Knicks with Melo, that just felt like a bunch of old guys at the end of their careers, just trying to get their last leg out there. And there was no long-term approach with that team. Where this team, you feel a young culture there. And it's weird because the young culture is kind of gone because we traded them, but there's still a foundation of Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Let's not forget, if Randle played in the All-Star game, that would have been the first time in over 10 years the Knicks had 2 representatives in the All-Star game. Like, the Knicks have 2 All-Stars. Oh, but the Knicks need a star. Knicks need a star. We got him. His name's Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, and then the role players around him are great. So, honestly, Tyler, we got to see where we go, because if we lose in the first round, then the season's not even as good as last year. But if we go on a playoff run right now, this Knicks team, this season so far is the best I've seen in my life. And it's really a weird season, though, when you really add to the context of the 2 trades that they made. Like, if I told you heading into the season in the summer, yeah, Tyler, I just saw the future. We're trading RJ Barrett. We're trading Emmanuel Quickley. We're trading Quentin Grimes. We're trading Evan Fournier. We're trading all those players in 2 separate trades, by the way. Like, you'd be like, for who? Like, what? We're doing what? Like, that's crazy that they actually did that.
Can you imagine telling you that heading into the season? Like, I would have been
like, no, they're not doing that.
Like, fire everyone. That's exactly how we would all react.
Let Leon cook. Okay? I am totally done judging that man, Leon, because every time he makes a move and I react with my emotions, he's proven to me, like, okay, Leon, you know what you're doing. Okay? And that's really a hard thing to do when you're a president of the organization of the Knicks or any president of any team, right? You want to please the fan base. You want to please the emotions that we have to this team. But Leon Rose, like, F that. I want to win chips, and I want to build a sustainable winner here. I'm bringing in all my CAA guys, and I'm building this team from the ground up, and we got all the assets in the freaking world. So, honestly, right now, the Knicks season today, to answer your question, it's so far the best, but I don't want to say that yet because I got to see what happens in the playoffs. Because, again, if they just go to the first round and lose or they go into the second round and lose, there's no difference in last season.
Right. There is no no difference than last season. And I just hope that, it sucks because it's another postseason where we're going to have some of our key guys that aren't 100%, but I feel like that's going to be every year with a lot of teams. That's just how it is. So that's an obstacle that the Knicks in itself need to overcome too, as long as it's not to the magnitude of like JB,
Yeah.
OG, Randall all hanging on by a thread.
And
If
I'll
it's
add to
that,
that,
that's like
we're
that's
like the
different.
deepest team in the NBA. I mean, like even with the injuries that we
We
have,
we
we're
really
ridiculous.
are
Like
for
think
sure
of it
one
from
of the
this way.
deepest teams.
Hypothetically speaking, hopefully this is the reality heading into the playoffs. We're all healthy, meaning everyone's available. Maybe not everyone's 100%, but they're healthy enough to suit up. There's some players that's not playing that we were like, wait, we need them to play. Like, what happens to Precious Achua? What happens to Deuce McBride? They're not like, are they the odd man out in the rotation? Because if you really look at the roster here, you talk about Mitch, OG, and Randall coming back because those are the three guys that are not playing. You plug all three of them in, OG starting, Randall starting. Okay, you can have the Mitchell Robinson is going to start because we need OG and Mitchell Robinson together on the court. I don't care what anybody says. I love Hardenstein, but I need to see the defensive duo of OG and Mitchell Robinson. Okay, but then what happens? Where does Precious go? Does he come in off the bench? Is there room for him? Because if Hardenstein's the backup big man and Josh Hart's the backup four and Alec Burks and Boyan's coming in off the bench, there's not enough room. And listen, this is a great problem to have, which is why I wanted to
Yes.
talk about it, because there's not any team in the NBA that's as deep as the New York Knicks, and I'll stand on that. We're
No,
prepared for the worst.
they are prepared for the worst. And to your point, yeah, like it's crazy how Precious is on the outside looking in. If you said this a month or so ago, we'd say, yeah, obviously. Now we're like, oh, I kind of feel bad. One and two, it's like I understand it, but you really can't. When you look at the roster, you can't really justify having him ahead of anyone else because everyone's good and everyone's pretty good, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, the
Absolutely.
Knicks have found themselves in a great. Precious was a throw-in too, dude. He was literally a throw-in by Toronto. Like they put him in this deal with not nearly as much thought process as maybe what now Thibodeau is utilizing with exactly that same player and Precious. Tibbs sees Precious, he's like, we got something here. Toronto didn't see it, but we see it.
Yeah, and I remember being at that Knicks Raptors game. That was the first time we saw Precious like have his breakout game, and I'm like, dude, Precious God, was that because he was against his former squad in Toronto, or are we going to see this? Oh, we see it, baby. And that's the coolest part about this Knicks team is, and I said it before, but like we're not so dependent on Jalen Brunson to carry this team. We're ready for injuries because we're injured right now, and we're still able to win basketball games. What other team in the NBA is that, right? Like you look around the league. What other team is that deep where they have guys where if they're fully healthy, that's out of the rotation that you're scratching their head and be like, no, this guy needs to play. Like you can't name me one. Like I really, really genuinely believe that Leon Rose understands that they have an injury situation that's unfortunate, and that's why he was aggressive to make that trade right before the deadline. Because after the OG and Precious trade, we had a big issue. Depth. Well, we figured that out by trading away Grimes and trading away Fournier, trading away Malachi Flynn and the draft picks and Ryan Arcidiacono. I guess I can't forget about him in the trade. And then we got the depth off the bench. And I honestly think, Tyler, that the key of this Knicks team might be that Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic duo off the bench, because if they start freaking breaking out, man, like they did last night, or more Boyan, then that trade is going to absolutely be the reason why the Knicks go far in the postseason. Because Boyan has all the playoff experience in the world, too. Like every single team he's ever played for goes to the playoffs and makes runs.
That's a good point. Actually, when I think about it, how many years has he not been in the playoffs?
I saw a stat where like he has like ridiculous playoff experience. Like
No, I
so
know.
many games.
He wasn't going to get that this year, but
Yeah.
he's getting it now. And on top of it, he said it himself when he was first acquired by the Knicks that it's like special that he's playing in New York, playing at the Garden, especially for European players. It's something that they really hold to a high magnitude. So it's awesome to hear that even with the Knicks having anything but a storied history, that they are an organization and Madison Square Garden is this mecca that we all know it to be, but it is perceived that way as well with a lot of players across seas. So that's pretty cool. Bogdanovich definitely seems happy to be here. And man, if we can get him sniping those threes, dropping 20 off the bench consistently, whoo,
And Burks, bro, like, come on, Alec Burks. Like, you're literally either so bad or
Or so
so
good.
good. Like, there's no in between, okay? And if Alec Burks can get consistent and be a sniper, because he is a great 3-point shooter. He's shooting 40% from three. And I feel like the Knicks got to make sure he gets more catch and shoot opportunities. I don't want to see the ball in Burks' hands as a playmaker, as a primary ball handler. I can't take that. I really don't like Burks from that. But as an off ball guard, I think that he can do what it takes. And I feel like Alec Burks is another X factor for this Knicks team, because let's not forget how important he was for that Knicks playoff team 3 years ago. Was that 3 years ago already? Jeez. That fourth seed Knicks team. Alec Burks stepped it up.
Remember Nerlens Noel?
Nerlens Noel, man. Where is he at? I mean, I'd take Nerlens Noel right now just because of how injured we are and all the depth that we need. But, I mean, no, I'm just kidding. He can't catch a ball, a basketball. You give him the ball underneath the basket and he fumbles it. I couldn't take Nerlens Noel, bro.
He had a little run. He had a nice stretch with the Knicks.
All love to Nerlens, bro. I don't want to disrespect you, Nerlens. Man, he really frustrated me. I'm an offensive player, but as a defensive beast, he protected the rim like a monster that he was. But that's really what it comes down to. But from Alec Burks and Boyan, the bench is really important here. But I do want to ask you a question about Dante DiVincenzo, because I feel like the only positive, and listen, there's not a lot of positives to take away from injuries, but the one thing that injuries do, and you can say the same thing about Precious, Josh Hart, it gives other players opportunities. And what Dante has done with his opportunity, as I feel like he found new life, where he's like, dude, I'm a baller. Like, if you need a bucket, if you need a 3-point shot, I'm going to pull up from 4 feet beyond the arc with a hand in my face and cash that thing. He wasn't doing that early on in the season. Ever since Julius went down, OG went down, and we needed a primary or a secondary primary scorer next to Brunson, Dante stepped up and was putting up like 27 a night. I feel like he now has new confidence in him, where if Brunson's ice cold, if he's getting triple teamed, Dante has the ability to get red hot and kind of carry the Knicks team scoring wise to the promised land in late in the fourth quarter. And I feel like that's another weapon that teams around the NBA don't really know that we have.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I got to say this about, Dante. His ability to step up the way he has been absolutely awesome to see. But to anyone that knows him, if you read up on him, if you know about him in his past, everyone will tell you that this has always been Dante. He's always been like this. He's always been this much of a baller. He just need more of the opportunities. We've seen flashes. Dante's always been a nice 3-point shooter. We saw it in his time in Milwaukee. We saw it in his time in Sacramento. We saw it in his time with the Warriors. Like, he's been all over the place. He's been a very productive role player. But similar to Jalen Brunson, now you're getting a guy getting starting minutes consistently is like, oh yeah, this is easy for me. Like, this is nothing that I'm not prepared for. You know what I mean? And
yeah, like, I don't know if we would have saw that if there wasn't the injuries. Like, sorry to cut you off, but like, I don't know if we would have seen this type of Dante if Randall was still healthy, if OG was still healthy. Like, the injuries gave him that opportunity, and he took it and ran with it.
And he's building a confidence now too. That's a big thing. Also, shout out Dante. He'll be the next guest on the Roommates podcast with
Everyone go ask him questions. I got to go watch the episode yesterday. So, guys, we did open this up to a call-in show, and we do got a good caller up next, or the first, rather, to call in and talk some Knicks ball. Let's bring him on in. Mr. Connor, what's up, Connor? How you doing, man?
Hey, Connor.
Hey, Richie. Hey, Tyler. How are you guys?
Good.
So you're also a Mets and Knicks fan, Connor?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a Knicks fan. NBA, personally, I just love the game, so I really watch all 32 teams. I think the Knicks are a really fun team to watch. Pay close attention to the NBA, just don't really have a favorite team, so to speak. Big Mets fan. I know you had Mets media going for a good amount of time. I love Mets media.
He's an OG. Connor. He remembers.
Well,
I love that.
Connor, I got to fill in Tyler about you, okay? Because why don't you let him know whose logo that was that he was saying it was really nice?
That was my logo.
Awesome.
I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. I didn't make that. Richie, I don't know if you know Gator from the Jets YouTube community.
Oh, of course. He's right now making me my intro for Jets Media. I know Gator.
Yeah, Gator made me the logo. He made me the background, and he does all the crazy stuff. I don't know if you know Jake Asman's show, Tyler, but he does all that crazy stuff. I've been subbed to you for 3 years now, I think it is. I'm a diehard Mets fan. I have the hat right here.
So there we go. Are you going to start? Well, I got to fill in Tyler Moore, Connor. I'm going to start tooting your horn a little bit. Connor is a Jets YouTuber. He's had all the beat reporters on his show. He's had all the top Jets creators. He knows more about Jets than me, I feel like. This kid is, what are you, 12?
12, yes.
12 years old and
It's
already
great.
in the content
Yeah.
world.
It's
And
the
you
new
are
wave.
killing it, Connor. You are absolutely killing it. It's great to have you on here, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This weekend, last weekend, I had Wesley Walker, Michael Nania, and Fireman Ed. And now that it's confirmed, I've been holding this on since January, but now that it's confirmed, I can say it. April 12th, Adam Schefter joining the show.
What?
Which will be a great show.
How the
Richie,
heck-
you are slacking. Connor
Yeah,
is
bro.
just wiping
Connor, how
the
you getting
floor
Adam
with all these
Schefter?
big guests. You're getting Shefty on the show. Congratulations, Connor.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But going back to the Knicks, I think they had a great win the other day versus the Sixers. Well, yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was. I was a little worried when they traded for Bogdanovich that when Randall came back, he was going to kind of phase out of the system. I really liked the trade, but that was my only concern. I think the trade was a great trade. Bringing Alec Burks back, I think it was 2020. Alec Burks was a Knick, and I thought he was a very solid Knick. I thought he was very dominant. I liked bringing him back. I thought Quentin Grimes didn't have his best year with the Knicks to start the season, but last year, I mean, he was a very valuable piece last year. He was a great shooter and a starting player. And then obviously you have Jalen Brunson, who's competing at an MVP level, MVP candidate right now. I think the Knicks are in a great position, and I think they're prime contenders to win the East. Obviously, they're going to have to get past the Bucks and the Celtics, which are two very talented teams. I mean, if you look at the Bucks, they fired Adrian Griffin when they were 30-13, and then you look at Doc Rivers, and basically they're playing like the Pistons right now. I saw something on Instagram the other day with all these. They're like 27th and below in like every major category since hiring Doc Rivers, which is a problem. The team said they were sitting in on the practices. I don't care what that guy's doing in practice, though. If you're 30-13, you have to keep your coach. I'm going to use the Knicks as an example. Tom Thibodeau arguably could have been fired several times in the past 2 years, and they've held on to him. And look at where they are now. They're prime contenders to win the East.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great point there, because I've been the one that's been saying keep Tibbs when everyone's like, Richie, fire the guy.
And that's true. I could tell you straight up. I've been like, get him out of here. I want nothing to do with him.
We've had those healthy debates on the channel many, many times about Tibbs. So that's a great point, Connor. I'm glad that you brought that up. And listen, man, if you want to have me on for Jets, I know they emailed me before about getting on the show. I would love to get on your show, talk some Jets. I'd love to also have you on my show one day. How about that?
I'd love to do that. You probably don't remember, but I think it was the Jets media podcast after New Year, after the Commanders win. I called in.
Yeah, you called in with Jack.
Yeah, I'd definitely love to have you on my show. Love to come on your show. I'm on vacation right now. I get back Sunday, I think it is.
Look at you're on vacation. You're living the life, Connor. Are you kidding me?
Thank you. I'll email you or DM you, email you. What's better for you, DM or email?
You can DM me on Jets Media on Instagram
Jets Media
or Twitter, either two, or email, whatever you feel like is good, Connor. I would love to hear from you, and let me know. I would love to come on your show. And guys, go check out. Go let them know, Connor. Where can they find you on YouTube? Go support Connor.
NY Flight Jets Talk on YouTube. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Tyler, I know the Mets season is off to a rocky start already, and it hasn't even started as Senga's out for opening day, and we struggle to even consider Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell, which is horrible, but that's a topic for another day. Richie, I was actually going back and watching some of your Mets media videos. I remember.
Wow.
I was. It was. Oh God. Tyler was on a bunch of your lives. I remember.
Yeah, that's where we all started.
Your latest video was why Pete Alonso should be the NL MVP, and I was just comparing like Jets media from like this year to last year. You look so different this year than you did last year. Obviously, you were rocking more hats, the beard, yeah, and.
Everyone's growing the beard out. That's the big thing.
That's so crazy. Well, that's so crazy, man. I'm so happy you're still watching Mets media videos.
Awesome.
I got to get back on it. And if it wasn't for Mets media, Connor, Tyler and I would not be friends. That's how we met. I I made
Yeah,
Mets video, and then he was a Mets fan and reached out, and now look at us.
I love all the YouTube communities, but like Mets, I'm not too uh invested in Mets. The two guys I'm literally subscribed to for Mets are you guys. But the Jets YouTube community to me is so special because you have so many guys. Like I was on Jeremy Jets Chaos's show a few Wednesdays ago, and I was like trying to name every Jets content creator, and I missed like four of them. I'm like,
You,
there's so
you
many.
miss me, Connor? Did you miss me at one of those four?
No, I
I'm just
I think I
kidding.
missed Jets Situation Report and Jets Central, and Jets Central is I think one of the most
He's
subbed.
the OG. He's been doing it before
Yeah,
anybody else.
but you, O'Leary, Jake, Ryan, Jet Central, Jeremy, just those guys to name a few. There's so many. Green Bean, all those guys. I could go on for days. And then there's another, Richie. You probably know who he is. You know Jets. Jude by
Jude
Jets.
Jets, of
Yeah,
course.
he's another kid who's great. He started, I think, 2 years ago. It might have been. So he's a little ahead of me. And then obviously you have like the guys like Tigo, who is another guy who kind of just started. He started last year, I believe. So you have all these guys, which I find
Well,
really
Connor, the
special.
fact that you're starting at this age is really inspiring. And if you need
Thank you.
anything from me, you know where to find me, Connor, on your journey as a content creator. Guys,
Thank
definitely
you.
go check out Connor's YouTube channel. I'm so happy that you called in to talk some Knicks ball and some
Of course.
Mets media. And that really brought back some throwbacks, Connor. We appreciate you, my man. And we'll talk soon, all right?
Of course.
Shout out to you, Connor.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, man. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy vacation. Connor Long.
What a
Killing it,
stud.
man. He's about to
That's
have a career
that's
in
the
this.
future right there. You know, we got in early. You know, when I talk to people in the industry, they're like, "You're only 20, what? Doing what you're doing?" Like people are blown away on our ages. Just wait, because
12.
just wait, because the youngsters that are watching us are gonna go and do exactly that, and they're gonna absolutely kill it. And I cannot wait. So
That was
very,
awesome.
very awesome stuff there for Connor. Shout out to him.
I don't know, Tyler. He's kind of making me feel like I got to make Mets media videos.
I know. Well, fine. Give me a salary, and I'll start making convince for you.
Oh, God.
I
I can't imagine making Mets videos right now based off of like,
You don't want to. You don't want to,
dude, like,
You
I'm
don't
sorry
want to.
you have to do it.
As
The Knicks are saving the day. I swear, Knicks fans, listen to this. I know not all of you are Jets and Mets fans, but I'm going to tell you guys straight up. Some of you will relate to this. The Knicks have been helping the pain of my New York Jets and New York Mets immensely, and hopefully they can continue that. Okay, I'm not used to the Knicks helping this out. Usually it's a trifecta of misery. Okay, that's what it's been my entire life. But the Knicks have been carrying my joy as a fan of New York sports, and hopefully that will continue. Right?
Hopefully that'll continue. I'm sure it will. You know, if there's one thing, it's that yes, being a content creator at times can make fandom a little bit different than the average fan because you're focusing so much more than just the team itself. You're focusing on all your production and all these things, but it also at the same time really helps bring us connected to the community like never before. And that is something that I never take for granted. I always gratefully appreciate. And to see everything that you're doing, obviously not only here on Knicks Media, which is popping, make sure you subscribe and like if you haven't already, playing Knicks content coming out all throughout the remainder of the regular season, heading into postseason, but then also there on Jets Media, where you've been killing it, AFC East Roundtable. Like these things are really helping us become not necessarily just talking heads, but again, as Connor was alluding to, like regular people that are part of others' routines. That's the one that really stats me. When people say, "Hey, Wardy, like, you know, like you're my morning routine or you're my evening routine, all your content, stuff like that." It's like, that's so cool. It's like, I don't know what I did to manage to get myself to be a part of your daily life, but clearly I did something right. So thank you for that. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool,
Yeah.
man. And my favorite part about it is this is like an interconnected community.
Right.
Where like we get to interact. My favorite part about it, the reason why I started what I do is like I want to talk ball about my favorite team so I can hear from other fans that can relate to my passion, relate to my excitement and my disappointment of my team, and now it materialized into what it is today. And if it wasn't for this, we would not be friends. I would have no idea who you are and all the people in the chat. I mean, I don't know who Asia would be. I don't know who Corey would be. I don't know who you guys in the chat if it wasn't for this beautiful state of YouTube allowing this to happen. And of course, Connor, NY Flight Jets Talk. Definitely go check him out, man. Grinding as a 12-year-old, man, on vacation too. So
Stud.
Definitely let me know when you want me to have when you would like to have me on the show. I'm not going to be as big of a guest as Adam Schefter, but
See,
I'll try. How the heck? You don't have any idea how many
I'll
times
say
I've tried, Connor, to get some
I'll say
people like
this
that?
too, and this is not to down Connor at all, but especially if you're younger, you have a great chance because people I've seen a
Yeah,
lot.
for
I know
sure.
kids that are starting trying to get immersed in the industry a little bit, just doing videos and stuff, and it's I don't know, especially if they have connections or whatever through family and friends, but a lot of the times people are very willing because they're seeing a young stud like Connor who's 12 years old doing this type of content and sport conversation that people love to help not only inspire and influence. So
Yeah, like you even see
yeah,
in the
that
Super Bowl,
definitely
you have
helps.
like a 10-year-old like interviewing everybody, and he's like awesome. He's super professional.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Exactly. It's awesome.
it is
And I
fun.
think it's good for the game. And that's what helps make it easier for our younger viewers too, that say, want more of a younger audience as well. Maybe again, kids that are from 11, 13, 14, they want people a little bit more relatable to them. That's how you do it.
Yeah,
By
and then
having
we even
people
have the
around
older
your age and
generation tuning into us, and we keep them young. They always tell me they oh Richie, I've been through 50 years of Jets misery.
yeah.
Like you have no
I've
idea
been
what
a
I've
Mets
been through.
fan since '73. That's what they always say.
It's the best. And
It's
yeah, I mean,
awesome.
they found me through your chat. I know Asia is a big Wardy fan, and I would always be tuning into that chat. Gideon's a great story, man. I met him in college at Brockport. He
That's
would
awesome.
be in the cafeteria, and all you want to talk about is ball, NBA ball. He would sit next to me. He is just an absolute NBA guru. And then when he started commenting on my Knicks media stuff and I saw the name Gideon, I'm like, there's no way this is Gideon from Brockport. There's no way this is Gideon from college. And he's like, yes, Richie, this is Gideon. I'm like, no way, it's Gideon. That's awesome. It's so cool, man. I love this stuff. Absolutely love this stuff.
Love it.
Bubba, big Knicks media supporter. Once OG and Mitch come back, it's danger. Bubba, I'm telling you, I've made this a big point in my video about the keys to the Knicks' success in the second half. OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson, dynamic duo defensively, is going to elevate the Knicks to different heights, baby. I'm telling you guys that right now. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up the show here. I'm glad to be live with my buddy Tyler. Every single week, we have Tyler on here. Always a pleasure to be able to have you on.
Always appreciated. I finally get a chance to talk my Knicks.
Yeah,
It's a good
this is
feeling.
it.
I gotta be honest. It feels nice, especially with them the way that they're rolling. It feels nice to root for a team that's in orange and blue, where you have key guys down and they're still going to be good. The season isn't completely in the hands right now of Randall or OG. No, I feel pretty confident saying that this Knicks team is going to be rolling into playoffs. Hopefully, we're just at a point where we're healthy the way that we want to be.
Oh, yeah, we will be. And health is the key. And I will manifest some healthy energies to the New York Knicks. Guys, don't forget to hit that like button on your way out of the show. We're going to wrap things up. We got a Knicks game tomorrow night against the Boston Celtics. Definitely check out Knicks Media to cover that Celtics game. And I will see you guys next time. Later.